The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is in fact the aftermath of Naoya Inoue's victory over TJ Doheny. A lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to discuss. I was supposed to go live for this fight, but I'll just be honest and keep it a stay with you guys. My body shut down on me, and I just didn't have the motivation to stay up till 4 in the morning to watch TJ Doheny fight anyway. Just being honest, but I tried. But we're here, and there's a lot to discuss. So first and foremost, before we get into Inoue and everything, let me get started, buddy. It's good to be here again. It's good to be seen. It's good to be finding a rhythm with these lives again, and hopefully everyone out there in the world is doing good. Listen. A lot of mixed reviews about Inoue. A lot of mixed reviews about his performance or lack thereof. Some people say, Inoue had a great performance because he stopped the former world champion and a dangerous puncher in Doheny on an off night. Some people are saying, it was a really lackluster performance and it left some things to be desired. So we'll discuss all that and Bob Arum's comments and those kind of things. But before I do any of that, before I go ahead and do any of that, let me go ahead and read the comments. For the 8 of you that are here already, make sure you smash that like button so this video gets pushed out to as many people as possible in the algorithms, and that really helps the channel. So, we got my man David Esther in the building. He says, oh, man, too bad I have to get up in less than 6 hours. You can't go live any earlier? No, I couldn't. That's why I got scheduled for the time I was scheduled for. But, David, I appreciate you. When you watch the playback, I hope you're doing well. Jesus M is in the building. He says, saludos, BT. And he says, Inoue is having stay busy bouts, which are whack. He whack as fuck. Yeah. It's a good little fight, but yeah, I could do without Inoue being at 122. I'm with you on that. Enrique Luna, longtime viewer of the channel. Good to see you, Enrique. He said, what's up, Brendan? Let's go. Good to see you, Enrique. Hope all is good with you. Good to see you in the chat. So, look, I'm gonna get into my talking points, and then y'all can chime in. And you guys know how I go with these aftermaths. I get into my talking points, and then after I'm done with each point, I get your comments. So leave your comments down below. Smash that like button, and So that being said, let's get into it. Let's get into the talking points. So first talking point is here, and it may be a bit controversial, but look. And this is on a positive note because I am going to be critical of some things I saw in the performance, but right for now we'll be positive. So Naoya Inoue is still maintaining his place in the sport as one of its most dominant fighters. He's one of the most dominant fighters of our era. On an off night, he gets a knockout against a former world champion, breaks his back. If that's considered an off night, then that shows you how high the standard he has set for himself. So, look. It's gonna sound crazy, and let me explain what I mean when I say this. So as you guys can see, it says, "Is Inoue the Roy Jones Jr. of our era?" Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that he's like Roy Jones in the sense that he's scaling weight classes and these kind of things. Because Roy Jones went from what was it? I think 154 or 160 all the way to heavyweight and won a title. So Inoue is not gonna do anything like that. But when I say he's like Roy Jones, we'll go to screen share to illustrate my point. So. Roy Jones, for those of you who know, and for those of you who don't know, he used to rap, and he had a song called "Y'all Must Have Forgot." And as you guys can see on the screen, there's this shirt, and it has the lyrics that apply to Roy Jones and the lyrics that apply to Inoue, where Roy said, and I quote, "They got the nerve to say I ain't fight nobody. I just make them look like nobody. Y'all must have forgot." And what a potent line, because Inoue routinely fights quality fighters, guys that if they fought anyone else would be considered very good wins. And when he beats them, people call these guys bums and not good. They call Stephen Fulton a bum. They called, Marlon Tapales not a good fighter, So when you're on that level of expectation and you set that kind of standard, you're gonna get get criticized. You're gonna have fans be a little bit more hypercritical. And I think like Roy was the same. Roy Jones, when he was fighting, it got to a point where people wanted to see him fight certain fighters in his weight class, and he was fighting, these guys like was it Julio Luis Gonzalez, or I forgot his name, Mexican guy like him, Glenn Kelly. He was fighting guys that were looking to be cherry picks, guys that were nobodies. And back in the day, if you guys would really Google and do your research, The boxing community back like in the like the early 2000s when they had forums, they started a thing called the Roycotts, where all these hardcore boxing fans got together and just decided to not buy his fights because he wasn't fighting like opponents that they deemed to be credible. And I kind of see the same pattern here happening with Inoue. You know, these guys like Sam Goodman. Sam Goodman's a very good fighter. Sam Goodman beat Rais Salim. You know, he's going to fight him next. I don't give a damn about that fight. I think that fight's a waste of time, to be honest with you. TJ Doheny, former world champion, been knocking people out cold in Japan. Didn't really care for it. Why? Because that's the standard Inoue set for himself. So in that sense, I think it kind of reminds me a bit of Roy Jones. So I'll leave it at that. But let me take it off screen share. Where we at? Screen shares. Yeah. So yeah. Everybody here. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable True School Sports Empire live. It's 10:04 Pacific time. It's 1 o'clock on the East Coast. So if you're watching the playback, shout out to you. We got my man Arnab Nath. He says Jin Sasaki is ready for the world title. Give Brian Norman and Jin Sasaki will knock him out. Look, man, I don't think that's gonna be a option for them. They're not gonna fight each other. I think if Boots vacates the belt, which I think he's going to, I think Boots will probably vacate that belt soon. Because why else would Eddie Hearn lose the purse bid for the Karen fight? If that happens, then what winds up happening is I think that Jin Sasaki probably fights Karen, and that'd be a very interesting fight because Karen is the complete opposite of Jin Sasaki. He's got great footwork, safety first boxer. Jin Sasaki's leaky, very explosive, and I don't know how he's going to be able to deal with the boxing if they were to fight. That'd be a tough fight for Jin. I would actually like to see that fight, Jin Sasaki versus Karen. Other comment from Landslide. He says, thanks for putting me on to fighters like Eduardo Nunez, Angelo Leo, and other fighters. Salute, BT. Thank you for listening. There's plenty of fighters out there, man, and I'm glad that this is a channel that has a reputation for putting boxing fans on fighters that otherwise may get overlooked. So, thank you for listening. But next talking point, and this is really what I wanted to get into, and I know this is the part of the lie that does ruffle some feathers and does piss people off. But look, man, I got a responsibility not just to the viewers of True School Sports, but I got a responsibility to God Himself to tell the truth and be content to tell the truth about this boxing, because He gave me the talent to express myself about the sport of boxing in a way that resonates with people. So I got to be very, very responsible with that talent He gave me. And so, look, man, Inoue got the stoppage, but if we're being honest here, and I just went back, I was just at the boxing gym training myself, and and they had the Inoue fight with Doheny up there, and I was watching it, man, and I saw some things that were big red flags in the Doheny performance. Big red flags. Now, Doheny didn't have the youth, the speed to capitalize on the mistakes that Inoue was making, but there were some things that he was doing. Like, for example, I saw a couple of there were more than one occasion I saw Doheny feint the uppercut to the body and then throw the right hook behind it and land. I saw Inoue losing his balance at times. I saw Inoue overextending on jabs. And you could attribute some of this. I will attribute some of this to maybe the fact that he was fighting a southpaw, but I saw a guy that, and this ties into another point I have. I saw a guy that's very heavy. I think he's on the verge of outgrowing the weight. And you may say, BT, how could Inoue be outgrowing the weight? He just got there recently when he fought Stephen Fulton last year. You just wanted to rush to featherweight, and that's not true. If you guys do any research, which I did my research, Inoue has increased his fight night weight every single fight he's been at 122. So when he's rehydrated from Fulton all the way to Doheny, he's increased in weight. So, for example, when he fought Stephen Fulton, his fight night weight was 132 pounds. When he fought Marlon Tapales, his fight night weight was 135 pounds. He had a conversation with Jorge Linares in Japanese, and when it was transcribed to English, he admitted himself for the Lewis Neri fight, he was 136 pounds. And for the TJ Doheny fight, it was reported that on fight night, he rehydrated to a career high 138 pounds. So you may say, BT, True School, what does this all mean? What do these numbers mean? What it means is his body is telling him that he is a featherweight, and that he really and truthfully should move the hell up to featherweight. Now, the way I think it's gonna go, I think Inoue is gonna do the Sam Goodman fight, and I think somewhere around the build-up, like when the fight gets signed and he's training and we're heading into the fight, I think you're gonna start to hear things about Inoue maybe having a hard time making the weight. And I do think a move to featherweight will be imminent. I don't think he's got 3 fights left at 122. The numbers suggest he doesn't have 3 fights left at 122. That's not me wanting to rush into featherweight. He's growing in fight night weight every single fight. I mean, for Christ's sakes, right? He's like let's just say, right, because you guys know the fight I want to see more than any fight in boxing is him versus Angel Leo, right? Hypothetically, if he fought Angel Leo for the IBF belt, we know that the IBF has a 10-pound rehydration rule where you can't rehydrate more than 10 pounds above the weight limit then the next day. That's an IBF rule when you fight for the title. Okay. Inoue is not even at 126, but if he was at 126, he couldn't go above 136 if he was featherweight, right? He's not even at 126, and he's rehydrating above what you could rehydrate at featherweight. So that right there, at the very least, is very telling that his body is telling him to go up to featherweight, that he can't be at 122 much longer. So that's what I think. That's just my opinion. That's my original thought, and it's based in and it's rooted in just logic and reality and facts. But there's that. I just think too, like, one of the things I'm seeing with Inoue, and I've seen it for years with him, and I don't want to keep talking about his weaknesses too much because, I do want my friend to beat him, but I will say that, like, he looked very I saw him biting on too many feints against Doheny, and that's something I don't know how you work on that. Like, maybe you guys who know more about boxing, you can tell me. But Doheny had a lot of success throwing feints. Where Doheny went wrong in this fight is simply that he just wasn't. First of all, youth is not on his side. He's 37 years old, and he just didn't have the speed to land off some of the good things he was doing. Because he would. There were a couple of times where he would feint the uppercut, or sometimes Inoue starts playing with his hand positioning. Like, there was I think it was the 5th round. Doheny had Inoue on his back foot, going towards the ropes, and Inoue's playing with his hands. Like, he's doing a high guard, then he's going into like kind of like a cross guard, kind of like a where he lowers his hands a bit, and he's doing all this stuff with his hands. And then Doheny feinted him, and he bit on it, and then he threw I think it was the left hand to the body and the right hand to the body. The left hand got blocked fully, and then the right hand was partially blocked. It grazed Inoue's ribs. Now, he didn't pay for it there. He didn't pay for it in that instance because Doheny didn't have the speed or the reflexes to close the gap fast enough. But you get a younger fighter in there who does have more speed, and that could, stuff like that, just little things like that, when he's fighting bigger guys, younger guys at featherweight, could spell trouble. And I know people are going to say that they may say I'm being hypercritical. I'm not being hypercritical. I already watched the fight like less than an hour ago, and these are just some of the things I saw. Now, all in all, it's a great day at the office. He broke this guy's back with a straight right hand to the body. But what's going to happen if he fights someone that, puts him on his back foot? What's going to happen when, he's got some questions to answer himself against a bigger guy with more skill who's younger? I mean, I just think that when you talk about the level of performances that we're accustomed to seeing in a way, even though this did end in a stoppage and boxing is a results-based business, so he gets a pass because of the result, I actually think in recent years, it's one of his lesser performances. It's one of his worst performances because of not just the fact that Doheny was feinting him and being able to land certain shots, but also I saw Inoue constantly falling off balance, overextending on jabs. And these were very un-Inoue-like characteristics. These weren't things that I'm accustomed to seeing from him. And the reason why I feel like some of these things were happening is because of fatigue. And I feel fatigue was setting in for him because he's fighting at a career high fight night weight of 138 pounds. So then that begs the question: if he moves to featherweight, is he gonna become a guy that rehydrates into the 140s? Because if he's not fighting for the IBF, if he fights like, let's say, Ray Vargas, Nick Ball, or Espinosa, he can rehydrate higher than 136 or 138. So I'm just saying, I remember when Inoue took that picture, and I want to show you guys. I want to show you guys the picture because, where is it? Do I got it here? Yeah. So this picture right here, look, I'm going to show you guys a picture right here. And by the way, smash that like button. Shout out to everyone here. Rock with me, rocking with True School Sports. Go to screen share. So look, when I saw this picture the other day, this one right here on the screen, my first thought was, first of all, he looks like he's in amazing shape because he's cut up like a bag of dope. You know, Inoue is in supreme shape. But you can see it. His shoulders, his biceps, everything looks more defined, filled out. I mean, his back muscles got muscles. I mean, he really is not. This is a different frame than the guy that fought Fulton in the first fight at 122. He's a guy that I genuinely feel is already a featherweight, and them if Sam Goodman fights more than acceptable because they're supposed to fight Sam Goodman anyway, and this fight's already been talked about, so they'll fight in December. But I'll tell you this: anything past Sam Goodman, I think, is pushing it, and I think you're going to be putting Inoue in a very dangerous and disadvantageous position if he continues to fight at 122. The fight night weights suggest that he has outgrown the weight. His body suggests that he is filled out, and I think a move to featherweight has to be, if they have any sense, a move to featherweight has to be imminent. So those are just a couple of things I saw. I'm not here to down them. Not every performance is going to be an A+ 5-star performance, but if you're someone like Bruce Carrington, if you're someone like Angelo Lee, if you're someone in the featherweight division that's watching them and studying him for a fight coming up, there are more than a couple of things that if you know what you're looking at, you can see, you could exploit, So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of adjustments he makes, and that's really why I want to see him at featherweight, is because it's kind of like the Manny Pacquiao thing. People wanted to see Manny Pacquiao fight at these higher weight classes because they wanted to see just how far could he go, how could he adapt his style. Same with Floyd. How could Floyd and Manny and these great fighters yesterday, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, how could these guys adapt their style against bigger guys, skilled guys, younger guys, and how could they find a way to win? And that's why I'm at with Inoue. Inoue, for most of his career, like, if you want to just be honest about how he wins fights, he wins fights by dominating you mid-range, overwhelming you with speed and athleticism. But I just think now at 126, some of those things are going to get negated because of size and just the attributes that some of these guys have. And he's going to have to make some adjustments to his style. And if he can make those adjustments, to me, that only adds to the greatness in a way. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't take away. And me pointing this out doesn't make me a hater. It's just me being a fan of boxing, knowing what I'm looking at, knowing what it will require to succeed at the highest levels. And I'm looking forward to that time when it comes. And I think it may be quicker. I think that time of him moving up to featherweight, it may be closer than a lot of you guys think. I don't think he will fight past Sam Goodman for two reasons: because his body. He won't stay at 122 past Sam Goodman because his body won't allow him to, and the division is trash. I mean, let's take a look at the division. The 122, he's cleared out the whole division. It is not a good weight class. So you guys tell me, what are the attractive fights here? And I know I've done this before, but I got to keep doing this again. I got to keep regurgitating and driving this point home. Do you guys really want to see Inoue stay in the weight class to fight Merjan Akhmadaliev, who doesn't deserve the fight because he hasn't done anything since he lost Marlon Tapales? And when he had a chance to fight Stephen Fulton, to put himself in the position to fight Inoue, he didn't want to do it. So, that's his cross to bear. He shouldn't get the fight. You want to see Inoue fight David Picasso? I mean, Liam Davies? I mean, what is there left to do, He's filled out. The fight night weight suggests that he's filled out. After you take care of Sam Goodman, because Sam Goodman's a good fighter, but he's not going to be Inoue. Go up to 126 and let's see. I want to see him up there because I know he's a great fighter and I respect him. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I've covered him faithfully on this channel for 8 years, and I want to see him against the guys at 126. And 126, the featherweight division, is my favorite weight class in boxing right now. I told you guys before this calendar even started. I told you. In 2023, I told you that 2024 would be the year of the featherweight division, and guess what? It's been all that, then some, since the year started. So, yeah, that's how I feel. But shout out to everybody here. Make sure you smash that like button. Stay untouchable. True School Sports Empire. Let me get our screen share and get to the comments because I know we got people chiming in, giving their thoughts. The viewership is increasing exponentially. All that stuff. We here. All right, so we got my man. Where we at? Arab Nad says, you are right. He said he was heavy. Inoue's base is heavy. His weight is mostly on the legs and hip area. So even if he is heavy, it doesn't look like that on camera. He has to adapt to the weight. When I watched him fight, because I've been watching Inoue for years, and he's very, very fast. He's so much faster than TJ Doheny that, like, if you're just watching the fight, the speed advantage was such in his favor that Doheny wasn't gonna make him pay for it, unless it was with a counter punch, something like that. But I noticed it. It to me, it jumped out at me that there was an extra layer of speed that he normally has that wasn't there, and I didn't like seeing that. I honestly did not like seeing that from him. But these are the trade-offs of moving up in weight and daring to be great, which he's doing. So you got to commend him for that. Be Young in the building. He said, "Exciting time for boxing." Yes, it is. Shout out to Be Young, loyal viewer. Tristan Simpson said TJ was crafty. TJ was very crafty, and I'll tell you this, and it sounds funny, but you almost can't even fully appreciate how crafty TJ Doheny was until you go back and you watch the fight in slow motion. I went back and I watched a couple of rounds in slow motion, and TJ Doheny was doing some high-level things in there. At the end of the day, he was fighting a guy that was younger, stronger, and in his prime and just more skilled. So eventually that took over. But before that, he was fighting a very, very crafty, intelligent fight. We'll get to Andy Hiroko later on. Yeah, 138. That's what he was. 138. Carl Dean says, since Sam and MJ want Inoue next, they should make a triple threat match between. Okay, now you're being funny. Get the steel chairs, get the barbed wire, 2x4 on some Mick Foley type vibes. How do you feel about Katsuma Akitsugi last performance? Do you think that Tuya Layoff had hurt him? Katsuma Akitsugi is a beast. I love him. He's one of my he might be my favorite fighter in the bantamweight division. Him and Lawrence Newton, even though he's inactive from South Florida. Those are my two favorite fighters at bantamweight. Very skillful fighter. Looking forward to seeing him push on towards a world title. I don't think anything hurt him. He looked like $1 million his last fight. Inoue is gaining weight intentionally. He's planning to make featherweight. I know that. All I'm highlighting is the fact that you can already see that having an effect on him. And I'm just saying, when he does move up, he's going to have to make some adjustments. It's not going to look the same. My man Chris B says, I can't wait till Shushu beats Inoue. You think so? You think Shushu's going to beat Inoue? I like Shushu. I'm a big fan of Shushu. He's a friend of the program. But Bruce Carrington, I think, needs more experience. And I don't know if with his age being 27 and with Top Rank sort of fast-tracking him to that fight, I don't think I just think it's too much too soon. But, they fight the fights for a reason. Shushu is about to become a world champion by next year. Y'all will see. He'll batter Inoue just like Tio did to Loma. I believe in Shushu. I like Shushu. Now, I'll be rooting for him if they fight because I like him that much. But I don't think so. I don't think Shushu winds up beating Inoue, unfortunately. Albert Powell says, I got insomnia. I'll be going to sleep at 3. That's because I have to force myself. I like these late night chats. But I like them too. I'm a night guy. I function better at night. Always have, always will. When I go live in the day, those lives aren't as good as these ones because I'm wired up, Especially now, I just came back from the gym. I hit the bag a little bit. I feel good. Do you think Angelo Leo versus Inoue would be a good pay-per-view for Top Rank in 2025? I don't want that fight to be pay-per-view, honestly. I don't think it should be pay-per-view because, number one, Inoue is not a proven pay-per-view draw. And Angelo Leo, he's my friend. He's not a pay-per-view draw either, I think that fight should be on free ESPN. Let the American public get a chance to see that fight. Let them get a chance to see two of the best fighters in boxing. In my opinion, two of the best fighters in boxing. To be honest with you, and you know what? That actually is a perfect segue into my next talking point, which is Inoue coming to America in 2025. This was a big point of discussion from Bob Arum. Bob Arum said that he wants to bring Inoue here in April for a fight, and I started kind of doing the numbers in my head, like, okay, if he's coming in April, who would he fight? And so I looked at the 122-pound division if he stays there. And the only way he'd fight in America against a 122-pounder is if he fights a guy like David Picasso or like Ramon Cardenas or Merjan Akhmadaliev. Now, you guys can tell me in the chat because I don't speak for the all of boxing. You guys are the voice of boxing. I'm just the guy that talks boxing. How many of you guys, by a show of hands, want to see Inoue fight Ramon Cardenas and Merjan Akhmadaliev or Elijah Pierce or any of those guys I mentioned? Let me know in the comments, because personally, I don't give a damn about none of them fights. Truth be told, I want to see my featherweight. So if Inoue is already gaining all this weight, and if he's already, you know, starting to show that his body's outgrowing the 122-pound limit, it's very possible that April fight could be against a featherweight. And I wanna highlight this. In fact, let me type this into my my computer so I can put it on screen. So one thing I learned about Japanese culture, because last year when I went to Japan, I was researching a lot about Japan. And last year, for those of you who may or may not remember, Inoue was supposed to fight Stephen Fulton originally on Golden Week. And for those that don't know, Golden Week is a big holiday in Japan. It goes from April 29th to May 5th. And fun fact, Inoue has never fought during Golden Week in his entire boxing career. And why is this significant? It's significant because during Golden Week, a lot more of the Japanese population is off of work. You know, more people get off time off work. It's a very big celebration. It's a very big holiday. It's multiple holidays in a week. And so when Inoue does fight in the States, I would fully envision him fighting somewhere April 29th, April 30th. In fact, you know what? Let me Google that. What day does April 29th to April 30th fall on? Let's look that up, because the reason why this is important is because if he fights on Golden Week and there's more people out working in Japan, then that's going to increase viewership and his star power in Japan. But let's see, when is April 30th, 2025? So April 30th, 2025 falls on a Wednesday, which means that April 29th, the first day of Golden Week, would fall on a Tuesday. And we know that Inoue likes to fight on Tuesdays. Now, I don't know how that would work in the States, because you know, if they fight in the States, you're not going to fight on a Tuesday night in the States. It's not going to work. You're going to have to make it work. So what would be what? So what, maybe May 2nd or May 3rd? Let's see. Maybe when is May 2nd? May 2nd or May 3rd? I'm making a point here because May 2nd this year is on a Friday. So Inoue could probably fight May 2nd, because Golden Week is from April 29th to May 5th. So that's my prediction. I think Inoue's gonna fight during Golden Week in Japan, but it'll be here in the States. But it'll still be to accommodate the Japanese viewers as well as the American viewers. And I think they're gonna want to do it big. Inoue's never fought on Golden Week before, so they're gonna want him to be in a championship fight against a good opponent. And right now, a name that's buzzing a lot in boxing is Angelo Leo. And I know you guys, some of you guys don't like when I bring his name up because you guys think I'm only bringing him up because he's my friend and stuff, but he's relevant. Don't get mad at me for bringing his name up. He's relevant. He got the knockout of the year. So there's many reasons why I think that fight in April could be against Angelo. Number one, Angelo has a mandatory due against Tomohiro Kameda, who is Japanese. And if Top Rank makes Angelo fight Tomohiro Kameda, then that's a telltale sign that they're going to build towards that fight in April. And then if they put it on Golden Week and he's fought Kameda and the Japanese public's already familiar with him, then it's very possible that they could fight. Factor in too that Angelo has the IBF belt, where you can't rehydrate above 136 pounds, 10 pounds above the limit. That's also going to that's also going to bode well for Angelo getting that fight. And Angelo isn't a guy that he's not like an Espinosa, who's a bigger featherweight. He turned pro at a smaller weight. He actually turned pro at 118. Fought as low as 115 in his second pro fight. And so they're going to feel confident that they're fighting a guy that's, naturally small compared to the other featherweights. But I think it's an amazing fight. And I think it wouldn't shock me at all if that's the fight that does happen in April that Bob is talking about. But that's just my take. Who do you guys? I want to hear from you guys. Who do you guys think that Inoue fights in April for this big American showcase they want to do, supposedly? I don't think it'll be anybody at 122, or at least it shouldn't be, but it might be. Who knows? Supposedly, no, that has nothing to do with Inoue. I met Shushu and his family a couple years ago, and I generally feel that Shushu has it in him to shock the boxing world. I've been studying for many years. Hopefully, we can see them fight. That's the fight Top Rank's trying to do. They want to do that fight. All Shushu got to do is get a title, and I think he probably winds up getting. If they can get Shushu the title, because Shushu's fighting in September. He's fighting in September against Suleiman Sagawa. So theoretically speaking, if he comes to that fight, maybe he gets a little bit of rest, and then you could box him. Because Nick Ball fights in October, and Shushu is the #1 contender for the WBA belt, and Ball is the WBA champion. So if Nick Ball comes through his fight, Shushu comes through his fight, I think they could probably fight in maybe like January, maybe like late January, something like that. And then maybe the winner of that, maybe the winner of that fight gets the, I don't know. There's a lot of ways this could go, but I'm really excited that he's coming back to America. A lot of people say that he's already fought in America, and I want to talk about this too, because I'm a huge Inoue fan, so please understand that when I say this. But people get on Inoue's case because they say all he wants to do is fight in Japan, and then the counter, and I even made this counter argument myself when defending Inoue, is that he's fought in America before. He fought Antonio Nieves on the HBO Superfly card back in the day for his debut. He fought in the bubble a couple times against Jason Maloney and Michael Dasmarinas. But when people say Inoue needs to fight in America, what I really think that means is Inoue needs to headline in America in front of a big crowd. Because think about it. When he fought Antonio Nieves on HBO, he wasn't the main event. He was on the undercard. He was just part of the attraction. He wasn't the attraction itself, because Roman Gonzalez fought on that card. All the other big names at that time, Gaio, they were all on that card. So it wasn't just about him. When he fought Dasmarinas and Maloney, that was during the bubble. Nobody could go to the fights. So American fight fans really haven't had a chance to appreciate Inoue as the star that he is. So that's people. When I hear that people say Inoue needs to fight in America, that's how it registers to me. But not everybody thinks like me. Angelo Leo's name is not buzzing at all. It's not buzzing. That's a lie. Ball and Shushu have bigger names, and you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. The knockout that he had against Bernardo Lopez, it got like freaking, I think I counted the views. It got about 9-10 million views altogether on Top Rank social media platforms. Nah, man. I think you're underestimating Angelo. But you know what, Spooky? You've been doing that. You're the same person that said that Bernardo Lopez is going to beat him. So we really shouldn't take anything you say about Angelo too serious. Like, you thought Bernardo had a chance. Bernardo got put on the highlight reel for life. So I'm going to disagree with you on that one. Is Inoue not fighting in December? He's fighting Sam Goodman. But I'm saying he's gonna beat I like Sam Goodman, and I wish him the best in the fight against Inoue. He's a good boxer. He's a well-rounded fighter, but he's not. I don't think he's beating Inoue. Be cool, be cool. I like upsets. I like when things get shaken up, but I can't see it. Maybe I'll have to go ahead and watch some film study, but on him. But I can't see it. But yeah, he is. He fights in America more than American fighters fighting outside of America. Yeah, well, that's because for the most part, people can say what they want, but most of the big money in boxing is still in America. Now, in this unique case, Japan is where the money is at for big time boxing in America, but Top Rank does have a piece of it in a way, and they do want to make some money out of them, because you guys gotta remember, like, they do promote Inoue, and they have the promotional rights to his U.S. fights, but they ain't really the ones profiting the most off of Inoue. The ones that profit the most off of Inoue are Ohashi Promotions, Mr. Honda, the Japanese people. So this is, I guess, a way for Bob Arum to get some more money for Top Rank. That's how I view it. BT, in your opinion, why doesn't Inoue want to fight MJ? I don't think it's that he doesn't want to fight MJ. I think it's that, Mirjan Akhmadaliev disgraced himself as a champion. Let's just call a spade a spade. When he had the belts and he could have unified with Stephen Fohn, he didn't try to do that. So people see that, and he has a reputation for that. and he hasn't done a whole lot since he lost to Paulus. And that's just what. And on top of that, you know, he's one of these Uzbek fighters that don't really bring in a lot of money. So that's what it is. I really don't care if he ever fights Merjan. Merjan to me doesn't deserve a fight with Inoue. That's just my now. If you know what, in my opinion, what he would need to do to get a fight with Inoue would be another top contender, not just Kevin Gonzalez, but like be another top contender, beat Sam Goodman, you know, or Neri or someone like that, and then okay, then you can talk about him fighting Inoue. But yeah, I don't know. If Naoya Inoue fights in America, do you think they'll change his hand wrap rules, which is crucial to his fighting technique? He's gonna fight in Las Vegas, so whatever the Las Vegas rules state, that's what he's gonna have to abide by, and I'm very sure it's different than Japan. So, it is what it is there. See, I knew someone was gonna say this. You listen to nothing I said. I know Inoue's fought in America. I literally named every fight he had in America. I named it. I'll name it in order again. He fought Antonio Nieves on HBO on the undercard. It was part of the HBO series, Superfly series, but he wasn't a main event fighter. Okay. Then he fought 2 fights in the bubble, which there was no way that to even watch it. So when people say they want to see Inoue fight in America, they want to see him headline. They want to see him like in front of a big crowd in America, which he never fought in front of as the headlining fighter. And it's different. Leo is okay, but he's not the biggest name at 126. That's the truth. I agree with that. I think Angelo's name still needs to get bigger, but I'm not going to sit here and listen to you tell me, his name's not buzzing. His name is buzzing. I'm with the guy. I'm with him all the time. His name is buzzing. You know, if his name's not buzzing, then why every couple days when I'm around him, I hear every boxing reporter in the world like trying to interview him now because he got a big knockout. You know, did millions of views on the ESPN platforms. His name is buzzing, and you get still butthurt that Venado got put on a highlight reel for life. That's about. And just so you know, he's not okay. He's a 2-division champion. Unlike a lot of your favorite fighters, like a lot of your guys' favorite fighters, they win fights when they're 21. They win world titles when they're like 25-1 favorites and bullshit like that. Angelo won 2 world titles when he was actually the underdog. If you would have actually bet on Angelo in both his world title fights that he won when he won, you would have made money both times against Tremaine Williams and Venado Lopez. That's a fact. That can't be refuted. That's not an opinion. So, anyway. In your honest opinion, do you think Inoue can transcend boxing the way Manny Pacquiao did and eventually fight at welterweight? Absolutely not. No way. I don't think at the most, and I even think this is pushing it, but at the most he's capping out at 130. I personally don't think he'll get past featherweight. I think he's gonna take a loss at featherweight, but if he does go unscathed at featherweight, I think 130 is his limit. You're seeing it. If anybody who's just watching the fights for what it is and not being so caught up in the hype, like he's already feeling the fatigue of putting on more muscle. His speed is decreased like noticeably. Manny Pacquiao, the reason why he was so effective scaling weight classes is because he was still able to maintain his speed going up in weight, which, you know, people have their opinions about that, you know, he was on steroids, like Alex Reza gave him shakes and all these kind of things, but regardless, he was able to maintain his speed going up in weight. I'm already seeing it now in a way. Just if you go watch the Doheny fight, you can't tell me. Just guys, if you think I'm hating, go back and watch Inoue versus Fulton and go watch Inoue versus Doheny, and you tell me that Inoue had the same speed in both fights. They're not the same. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I got you. All right, so I'm getting a bit off track here. I got like 2 more talking points, and then we'll just freestyle it from there. But kind of pivoting out of the Inoue America thing, let's talk about the fight that's been rumored: the Japanese Super Bowl, the Japanese Stanley Cup of boxing, the Japanese World Series of boxing, the Japanese, you know, all that stuff, NBA Finals for Japanese boxing. Inoue versus Nakatani. Is this fight going to be coming in 2025? Let's talk about that, because, you know, to me, now look, you guys know, like I've said many times, Inoue Angelo Leo is the fight I want to see the most. But, you know, if if there's another guy that I want to see Inoue fight in boxing, it'd be Junto, because I rate Junto very highly. I think Junto Nakatani is a great fighter. I think he's not like most Japanese fighters. You know, he's a taller fighter. He does have those Japanese fundamentals and, you know, the base, you know, the basic skills that they have. But he's been training all these years with Rudy Hernandez, so he does got a little bit of that Mexican influence in his style, and he is a volume puncher, and he is crafty, and he can box off that tall, lanky, rangy frame of his. So there are some stylistic things that could potentially give Inoue some big problems, and to that fight is, if it does happen, could be quite possibly be the changing of the guard of who truly is the best fighter in Japan, who truly is the face of Japanese boxing. You know, this is kind of like what Benavidez and Canelo is in America. I feel like this fight could be that over there. You know, that's kind of how I view it. Now, right now, as it stands, Junto Nakatani, he's fighting October 14th in Japan as part of their 2-day doubleheader fight series they're doing. He's fighting some guy from Thailand who's like 76-1, but hasn't really fought like really anybody too good to speak of. So he has to finish his business at 118. I'm not sure if his plan is to unify at 118 because all the other champions are Japanese, and I'm not sure what like the inner workings of Japanese boxing are like, because you know I know Mr. Honda doesn't like his fighters fighting each other. And unfortunately, Mr. Honda has Japanese boxing in a Cobra Clutch, so I'm not sure if we're going to see any bantamweight unification. So if Junto is just going to be a one-off 118 fighter, then that would mean that sometime very soon he should be stepping up to 122 to make his debut and probably try to go ahead and at least get a fight in, because this is a big fight. This is a fight to me. This is a Tokyo Dome fight. This is a fight. Whatever amount of tickets they sold for Neri, they could definitely pass it for this fight. And it's a great style matchup. I mean, you got Inoue, who is a great fighter at mid range. He's one of the more athletic fighters in boxing, one of the most explosive fighters in the world, a great finisher, taking on a southpaw volume puncher who can box from the outside as well. I mean, that's an amazing style matchup. There's not many fights in boxing better than Inoue and Junto Nakatani from a skill standpoint. If I had to make a list of the top 10 fights that I want to see in boxing, this would be up there. This would be in my top 10 for sure. And I would even venture to say, look, if Inoue beats a guy like Junto Nakatani, in my opinion, it's the best win of his career, because of what Junto brings to the table. Him, the age he's at now, the stage of his career he's in now. I'll be honest, and I'll be honest about Inoue. I think Inoue is still like, he's in his prime, but he's like kind of towards the tail end of his prime. I think he's getting ready to exit his prime. Still very good, still, you know, extremely hard to beat, still one of the best in the world. But I think like the pinnacle for Inoue was actually the Fulton fight. I think that was the pinnacle of his boxing brilliance. You know, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe his prime will be longer. But I just think, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and say he's lost a step, but I just think that he's towards the latter stages of his prime, if that makes sense. You know, so I think it's just a great fight, and it would be a great celebration of Japanese boxing. And in my opinion, you know, there's only one other fighter from Japan that I feel represents Japanese boxing as great as these guys, and that'd be Kenshiro. But like, to me, you can't find two better representatives for a country and what they got going on in boxing than these two. So, yeah, man. If they're gonna fight, I think Junto needs to get at least one fight at 122, because asking Junto to go from 118 straight up to 122 and make his first fight beat Inoue, that's not fair, you know. So hopefully, if he can win his next fight, go up to 122. Don't waste no time. Go beat a guy in the top 15, lower part of the top 15. Get accustomed to the weight, and then probably I would anticipate if Inoue is going to stay at 122 past December, then I would think that sometime next year, after, you know, probably in the latter stages of next year, around this time next year, we should be getting Inoue versus Nakatani. And I want to know from you guys, the chat, who would you guys favor in Inoue Nakatani? I'll be honest, that to me, that's a pick'em fight. I feel like Inoue could exploit Junto sometimes leaky defense, and the fact that he throws so many punches will give Inoue more than his fair share of counter punch opportunities. But man, Junto Nakatani, I've never ever picked against Inoue. Like his whole career in boxing, I've always picked him to win his fights. All my predictions have been Inoue. This may be the first fight, unless he fights Angelo before then, that I will pick against Inoue. Junto is that good of a fighter. My man Smokey says Inoue has to slow down. In my opinion, he punches at different speeds. No, I mean I hear you, and he does that very well. That's part of the reason why he gets these knockouts, even when it looks like he's not doing a whole lot sometimes. But no, I think personally, because it's not just this fight. I thought he looked a little slower in the Neri fight too. Like to me, the speed he had at 118, it carried up just fine for the Fulton fight because at Fulton he only rehydrated to 132, but once he got to Tapales, like from Tapales on up, I've seen a decrease in his speed, but it was the most noticeable in the Doheny fight, and obviously because he weighed the heaviest he's ever weighed, that's only you're gonna expect that, Song right here, my man says 2025 in Las Vegas opponent is one of the top ranked 26 champions. I don't mind if it's Leo after he is a champion now. Yeah, exactly. He earned it. I mean, Angelo Leo, as I've said many times, and I'll keep saying it until it becomes something that's drilled into people's heads. He is the most active fighter right now in boxing. He is the most active fighter at the world class level. Since November 1st of 2023, he has had 4 fights. We're in September now. So what is that? That's December. That's like 10 months. So in the last 10 months, Angelo's had 4 fights. There's not any fighter, and if there is, please name them for me. There's not any fighter who currently holds a world title in boxing who has had 4 fights in the last 10 months. Hell, you can't even get guys to have 1 fight in 10 months sometimes, let alone 4 against, good competition, live bodies, guys that are coming to win. So yes, I agree. When is Bam gonna fight Junto? See, now that's a fight. I mean, they talk all this Junto Inoue stuff. They talk about Bam fighting all these other guys. If Bam and this is my gripe with Bam. Maybe not Bam, but Bam's team and how they move them. They got their plan, and it's their prerogative to move how they see fit. But my issue with Bam Rodriguez and the hype that he gets sometimes is that he beat really good names, but they're a little bit past it, And here you got a guy in Junto who's just a killer. Like we all know Junto Nakatani is a killer. He's shown us that time and time again. And we don't ever hear any ambition from their team to step up and fight Bam or Junto. We never hear Robert Garcia or Bam or anybody say, "Hey, yeah, I want to fight Junto. I want to put hands on him. I want to show that I'm the baddest dude around these weights." We don't hear that. I wish we did, but we don't. So, and it's not a dig at them. It's just an observation. Maybe they will fight. Maybe Bam will fight Junto at some point. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing now. Inoue versus Nakatani is the biggest fight in international boxing. 2 pound-for-pound fighters with following worldwide. Plus, we don't have pay-per-views in most Asian countries. Let me see. I don't know if I agree with that it's the biggest fight in international boxing. I think the biggest fight in international boxing would be, hypothetically, Naoya Inoue versus Gervonta Davis. I think that's the fight that would kill every possible pay-per-view in boxing. I think that would outsell everything, honestly. But it's a huge fight. There's no doubt about it. It's a huge fight, and it'd be a big celebration. All right, now my last talking point about Inoue, and then we'll wrap it up. Is I wanted to talk about just like where is Inoue, and I'll ask you guys this first, please, guys, for the 34 of you that are here in the chat, kindly let me know, where do you place Inoue on your pound list? Where do you think he ranks among the best fighters in boxing after the TJ Doheny fight? Now, I know a lot of people have him number 1 pound for pound. I've had multiple times in my life as a boxing fan where I've had Inoue pound for pound number 1. Even back then, like when he fought Dohenys the first time, I thought I was saying back then I thought he was the best fighter in the world. But right now, I mean, as of the last True School Sports pound for pound list, he was True School Sports number 3 pound for pound fighter. Usyk was 1 and Crawford was 2. Okay, which I think I don't care how you have your pound for pound list. I think those three in any order is just fine. I haven't revised my pound for pound list. I'll probably revise it in about 2 weeks because I normally do it towards the end of the month. But I'm pretty sure when I do revise my list, I'm really tempted to put Inoue above Crawford because, like, to me, they're very similar in what they've accomplished, being undisputed multiple times. I've had Crawford above Inoue because I feel like Crawford was a slightly more dominant fighter, but Terrence Crawford had a fight where he had a bit of an off performance, and he damn near lost that fight, against Madrimov. Now Inoue had an off performance, and he got a stoppage. So what that tells me is that as great as Crawford is, right now the level of Inoue is just a little bit higher than Crawford because he's showing that on an off night he can get stoppages. All right, Crawford had an off night and almost lost. So, I'll probably leave Usyk at 1, but I'm more than likely Inoue will probably jump to 2, and Crawford will go to 3, and that's how it'll go. Right now, and my pound for pound list isn't about who's my favorite, because if it was about who's my favorite, I have Inoue and Crawford above Usyk. But Usyk, I mean, to clear out the cruiserweight division the way he did all those years ago, back when it was one of the deepest weight classes in boxing, was unprecedented. He's quite possibly, I actually think he is the greatest cruiserweight in the history of boxing. He's actually the greatest fighter in the history of a weight class. So that's to me is like, that puts him up here. Then he goes to heavyweight. He has a 2 very uninspiring performances against Witherspoon and Chisora. Nobody was giving him much of a chance to really do anything at heavyweight after those fights, because I remember all the talking points back in the day that they were saying that Usyk's too small. I mean, and look what he's done at heavyweight. 2 wins against Anthony Joshua. Got a win against Daniel Dubois. Has a win against Tyson Fury. I mean, to me, right now, it's in my eyes, he's the clear pound number 1, because the jump you got to make from cruiserweight to heavyweight is the hardest jump to make in boxing. The punching power increase is the highest in boxing, and he's managed to navigate that perfectly, and that's why I have him rated so highly. But again, Inoue, Crawford, Usyk, all these guys are all so great that every fight things can change. So right now, if I had to make my pound for pound list right now, I'd probably slot Inoue in at number 2, just behind Usyk, which is to me is fair. But what do you guys think? Let me see. At number 2, you got him at number 2. Number 2, he's been number 2 since last year. I've got him number 2 after Usyk at the moment, but before Usyk beating Fury, yeah. See, for me, I probably would have had him at number 1. Or I don't know. All those guys to me are interchangeable, but number 1 would have been fine. He was running through everybody. Inoue in his off night is still knocking out opponents. He is 1 because he is beating good opponents and he's active. Yeah, see, activity is a big reason why I think people place him above Crawford. They see him more. He dominates more because he's fighting more. So that's logical. Inoue is pound for pound top 3 at very least. Crawford and Usyk are the only ones you can put above him realistically. Sorry, Kel. Yeah, I agree with that. Any news on who Romo Gonzalez is fighting? No, unfortunately, right now, nothing new on Romo Gonzalez. I may have to go ahead and message my guy that's part of his team and see if I can get anything out of him. But nothing new on that. I think he probably winds up fighting Ryosuke Nishida, the IBF champion, if I had to take a guess. I don't see how y'all say that was an off night for Inoue. He did what he was supposed to do. He did do what he's supposed to do. But look, man, there's just some things like, if you just go, do me a favor. Just do me a favor. Go back and watch the fight. And it's not stupid, but watch the fight in slow motion. I saw it in real time, but TJ Doheny was doing a lot of things in there that, if you're looking at him fighting at featherweight, these things can cost him. And I do think it was a little bit of an off night. I'm not saying like it wasn't Shakur Stevenson, Edward De Los Santos. It wasn't like that. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't terrible. It just wasn't, the ridiculously high standard that we're accustomed to seeing him at. And even with that being said, he's still not this guy out before the championship round. So that just shows you how great he is. So it's crazy that Sayo is taking on. You're talking about Seiya Tsutsumi? Yeah, man. Seiya Tsutsumi versus Takuma is going to be a great fight. And by the way, we're at that point of the live. I've gone through all my talking points. I've said what I needed to say about Inoue. Shout out to him on getting another knockout. And I forgot to show this too. Just one last thing on Inoue, because I don't want to. People say I'm hating on him when I switched up, which is hilarious. But look at what this man is doing. 21-0, 20 knockouts in world championship fights. I don't care if he had an off night, great night, okay night. 21-0 with 20 knockouts in world title fights. That's special, And he's a special fighter. And in order to beat him, I'll say it like this: in order to beat a guy like Inoue, hell, forget beating. To compete, you're gonna have to be special yourself. And there's only to be honest with you guys, from 122 to 126, there's only two guys that I give a chance at beating Inoue. Those two guys are Junto Nakatani, Angelo Leo. Everyone else that's not named those guys, I think loses to Inoue. The other two guys, I give a chance to at beating them. And obviously, I'm picking Angelo to beat Inoue, but I think those are the best guys. Those are the two guys that have the tools and the skills to give him his first loss of his career, And if those guys don't beat him, then I don't think nobody's beating him at 126. Just being honest, I don't think Shushu beats him. I don't think Espinosa beats him. I don't think Brandon Figueroa is not going to beat him. Actually, I don't want to write out Brandon Figueroa. Brandon Figueroa would have a slight chance, but all the guys that are champions except Angelo, I don't give much of a shot to. And yeah, that's where I stand. But look, guys, where are we at right now? We're at 56 minutes. So look, we'll go like 10, 15 minutes. Y'all can ask me whatever you want. Get your questions in. Super chat, all that good stuff. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Smash the like button. We're here at your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Live late at night from the high tech True School Sports HQ here in Las Vegas. What's good with it? Ask some questions. How do you rate Seiya Tsutsumy's punching power out of the top Japanese fighters? That's a hell of a question. I've only watched the fight, I think, twice, but the two times I've watched him, he's got the kind of power that he doesn't like knock you out. He doesn't knock you out with one big punch. He really grinds you down. So when you talk about the most devastating fighters, like the most vicious fighters in Japan, in my opinion, he's like one of the top 5 most vicious fighters from Japan. He's one of the guys that, like, if I was a boxer, I wouldn't want to fight him, because even if you beat him, he's one of those guys that even if you beat him, when you walk out that ring, you're gonna look like you've been in a fight. So I he's up there, top 5 as far as most devastating fighters from Japan. My man Lou Spooky says, you're sitting on Espinosa. That dude is the most dangerous for Inoue. He's big with the full package. Absolutely not. I like, first and foremost, Rafael Espinosa is one of my favorite fighters in the division. He's one of my favorite fighters, actually, in boxing, believe it or not. I really got a soft spot for Rafael Espinosa because I was there the night in South Florida when he beat Robeisy Ramirez to become champion. I was the only, apart from ESPN, I was the only independent American channel, English-speaking channel, that interviewed Rafael Espinosa before that fight. So I like Espinosa. But the reason why I don't think he'll be Inoue, and truth be told, I don't think he'll be Inoue, and I don't think he'll be Angelo either. The reason why I don't think he beat those guys is because his defense is too leaky. And when I say it's leaky, I mean he's not just taking, like, he doesn't just get hit with jabs. He literally gets hit with big shots. And I'm going to give you guys a homework assignment that are drinking the Rafael Espinosa Kool-Aid. When Rafael Espinosa fought Robeisy Ramirez and he got dropped, he got up in the middle of the ring. And when he got up in the middle of the ring, his legs almost gave out, so much so to the point where he almost fell out the damn ring because he couldn't stand up straight. Now, credit to him. He gets respect because he showed the heart of a true champion. He got to the second half of the fight. He scored a knockdown, and he grinded it out, and he won. So he deserved respect. But I didn't hear anybody talking this highly of him until he fought Sergio Trino Sanchez. When he knocked him the hell out, then that's when I see people saying, like, oh, Espinosa's the best featherweight and this, that, and the third. And I like Espinosa. But no, Espinosa is the Jarrett Hurd of this weight class. You guys remember Jarrett Hurd? Do you guys remember when Jarrett Hurd was had the fight of the year with Arizona Lara in 2018? Remember when Jarrett Hurd was in all these exciting fights, but eventually he met Julian Williams and lost his title? To me, Espinosa is very similar. His reign as champion is going to be very similar to Jarrett Hurd. He ain't going to be here for a long time, but he's going to be here for a good time. So I'm going to enjoy him while he lasts. But I just don't think, unless he corrects his defense, I just don't see him beating a guy like Inoue or Angelo Leo. And I even think Nick Ball will give him problems, to be honest with you, just because his defense is leaking. Now, obviously, he's got a lot of volume. He's got a good jab. He can box. There are a lot of good attributes with Espinosa. I'm not saying he can't develop and get better, but it needs to happen quickly and swiftly, because if not, he's losing that title soon. He's not the full package like you think. Now, Carlos says, you think Angelo Leo is the toughest fight for Inoue at 126? Hands down, he's the toughest fight for Inoue at 126. He's the most complete featherweight in the division. He's got the best out of all the champions. He has the best footwork. He can fight in angles. He's got a pretty good jab. He has a good right hand. He can fight on the inside. He's got a devastating left hook to the body and to the head. I mean, just this year alone, and I'm not being biased. I'm stating facts. Just this year alone, he's got not one but two one-punch knockouts with the left hook. He had a left hook, one-punch body shot to Mike Plania back in January, and he had a one-punch left hook to the head of Bernardo Lopez. Those are facts. So for those reasons and many others, I think he's the toughest fight for Inoue. I'm not gonna get into the whole style breakdown, because I know that as they get closer to fighting, the Japanese people in boxing, and not the fans, but like people from Ohashi boxing and people in Japan are gonna start watching these videos, and they're gonna listen to what I say about Angelo, and they're gonna try to game plan against him. So I'm not gonna give them too much, but I've studied that fight for 4 or 5 years. I know that style matchup inside and out. That is the toughest fight for Inoue at 126. And if you don't believe me now, you'll believe me later on. And that's how I'm coming. Let me see. Yeah, Espinosa's tall, but that doesn't mean anything. Jamie McDonald was tall. And what did Inoue do to Jamie McDonald? He folded Jamie McDonald in like around. And no disrespect to Espinosa, but Espinosa is not as technically sound as Jamie McDonald was. Jamie McDonald was actually a more technically sound fighter than Espinosa. And you saw what happened to Jamie McDonald. I just think with the amount of big shots he takes, so when I say big shots, I'm talking about straight right hands, left hooks, uppercuts, anything that's not a jab, power punches. He takes a lot of power punches. And he didn't beat Robesi because he was the full package. He beat Robesi because he had more dog in him and he had more volume. And truth be told, I'll tell you this. I'm not sure he's going to beat Robesi in the rematch. So we got to see how he does in the rematch. Arab says, bro, talk about Andy Roca. He had a breakout performance. He has speed and good IQ. He may be the favorite against Rafael Valenzuela. I haven't watched. So I fell asleep during the whole undercard, and I barely woke up in time for the main event. So I didn't get a chance to watch his fight yet. That's why I haven't spoken about it. But I picked him to beat Barroso, so I wasn't surprised about that. But yeah, Andy Roca, good fighter. You know, he does have a win against Jin Zaki. He's tall. He's a southpaw. He's got good volume. He gets good sparring down there at Ohashi Gym. Yeah, Andy Roca can fight. Is there any chance we see Shakur Haney Lomachenko in 2025? Huge Shakur fan, but it's frustrating with the lack of real true challengers he's had. I'll tell you this, man. I think with him going to Matchroom Boxing, Eddie Hearn, I think Shakur Stevenson's career is going to go. It's going to start to look very Demetrius Andrade-esque. He's going to make a lot of money. Like, he's going to get paid hand over fist, but he's going to be in there against less than stellar opponents. So, like, for example, he's fighting Joe Cordina now. Nobody wants to see that shit. Maybe he gets Williams Zepeda, but I think that's probably as good as it gets for him as long as he's a matchroom fighter. What are your thoughts on BoxRec taking off the WBA rankings in their website? It's so confusing now. If someone has a WBA belt, you don't see it then listed anymore. Is that what they did? Because the other day I was looking up Eduardo Sugar Nunez's record, and he's 28-1 with 28 knockouts. But on BoxRec, they listed him at 27-1 with 27 knockouts. And the fight that wasn't on his resume was the Shavkat Rakhimov fight. So I hate that. I hate that box rec and these sanctioning bodies like the WBC. They had beef with box rec. Now WBA's having beef with box rec. I don't like that, man. Lou, you're ridiculous. Leo doesn't have enough power to hurt Inoue. You have to have the power of Dohenys to hurt him. Listen, man, and I already know everyone's not gonna like when I say this, but when it comes to if we're talking about featherweight, Angelo Leo has more punching power than Dohenys had when they fought at 118, and Inoue he's fighting at a bigger weight class. I don't know how, bro. People like I don't understand it, and I'm gonna rant a little bit for like a minute or two. How can people watch the Mike Plania knockout and then watch the Bernardo Lopez knockout and say he doesn't have enough power to hurt Inoue? Bernardo Lopez is a more durable fighter than Inoue. Not saying Inoue's chinny, but I'll tell you right now, he can't take all them shots that Angelo was throwing out like Bernardo was. I know that for a fact. Espinosa is lanky. Naturally, his balance is awkward. I know that, but I'm saying, okay, but I like Espinosa. I think he can get better. And truthfully, I want to see him get better. He's probably of the champions. He's my second favorite featherweight. You know, he's probably in the whole division. I would say Espinosa he's probably my fourth or my fifth favorite featherweight. Or I'm not sure. Let me see. Angelo, Odebeck, Bruce Carrington, Dominique Frank. He's my fifth favorite featherweight. You know, I got guys I like more than him, but he's up there. I like him a lot. You know, so I want to see him get better. But I just think from watching his fights before he fought Robesi, then Robesi and Sergio, like bro, his defense is it needs work. Bro, is Lester Martinez Indian except but born and raised in Guatemala? The man sounds straight up like an Indian. I don't know what his descent is. I just know he can crack and he can punch. And I'll tell you what, that fight it'll be 1 week from today. Joshawn James versus Lester Martinez is one of the best fights this month. That's the fight on ProBox you guys don't want to miss. It's gonna be a barn burner. Harold says you're proving my point why Diego Pacheco was going to get flatlined. Nah, Diego Pacheco has better defense than Espinosa. Harold, he's not as leaky as whatchamacallit. He's not as leaky as Espinosa. Leo is still pillow fisted in my opinion. Bernardo has trash defense and the other guy was very weak. Oh, so that's what we're gonna do. So every time Angelo beats someone, we're never gonna give credit to when he knocks the fuck out of someone. We're always gonna say, oh, it's what the other guy didn't have. So when he breaks Inoue's orbital bone and he beats him, are we gonna say, oh well, yeah, he was supposed to beat him. He turned pro at 108. Like what? Like nah, man. At some point in time, just give him his due, man. I know you don't want to give him his due because if you give him his due, you have to agree with me, and you don't want to agree with me. But he's many things. You know, Angelo. Listen, I know Angelo. Angelo's a lot of things in life. He's a lot of things in life. But when you talk about Angelo Leo, the featherweight, 4 fights into his featherweight campaign, 4-0, 3 knockouts as a featherweight, he is not pillow fisted. And if you think he's pillow fisted, go ask Mike Plania and Bernardo Lopez, and I think they'll vehemently disagree with you. I think Inoue will be the favorite against Angelo. Angelo does have big time power to hurt Inoue. Yeah, I think so too. I think like being unbiased, like he's gonna go in as an underdog. I'm gonna say the betting lines will probably make him anywhere from a 7-1 to 8-1 underdog. So it'll be like a plus 700 or 800. But it'll be a great fight, and I look forward to it. Hyro says, when are you going to talk about PBC, man? Let's go Tim Tszyu. That's I mean, they got the Tim Tszyu Baccarat Murtalaziev card coming up. I mean, they gotta do something worth talking about. I mean, I'll be talking about him next week when Canelo fights. So get your panties get your panties out of a knot, Hyro. What are your thoughts on Eddie Hearn losing the purse bid? Eddie Hearn looks like a freaking herb. How do you get Jaron Ennis to sign with you? One of the most coveted American talents in boxing. You get him a fight in Philadelphia. You get him a fight in Philadelphia. he proves to be a commercial success. He sells damn near 15,000 tickets and breaks a Marvin Hagler record. And then you don't even try to keep that momentum going. You lose to some company in Russia or Germany or whatever we never heard of, and now he's gonna have to be like Demetrius Andrade and go to somewhere abroad and to fight Karen. You know, it's ridiculous. And and what I really hate about it the most is it gives the Normans like vindication that they were right in ducking the fight, which they were wrong. They should have taken the fight. They ducked the fight, and I didn't like that. But Eddie, you know, I think they're both wrong. Like, the Normans were wrong for not taking the fight, and Eddie Hearn is wrong for not actually investing in his damn fighter. So yeah, 46% knockout ratio is average. Yeah, but you're looking at his whole career. He has a 46% knockout ratio, but Angelo Leo has a 75% knockout ratio as a featherweight. And where the hell is Inoue and Espinosa and Ball and all these guys that you guys want to see him against? Stephen Fulton, they're going to fight him at featherweight. They're not going to fight him at 122. So, yeah, at 122, he may have been a guy that just threw a bunch of punches and came forward at you. But like I say, fighters can progress and fighters can regress. He's a great example of a fighter that's definitely in a major way got better, improved after a loss. Didn't Inoue outbox Fulton, who outboxed Leo? Inoue should be the favorite in this. He did, but you know, Teofimo Lopez got outworked and hustled by George Kambosos, but George Kambosos got his ass by Lomachenko, but Lomachenko lost to Tio. So triangle theories don't always work. They don't work like that. You know, boxing, you can't do that in boxing. And what's funny is this: people like to bring up the Stephen Fulton fight, and Stephen Fulton won that fight. I scored that fight 116-112, and Angelo won 4 rounds. But Stephen Fulton was hurt in that fight a couple times. He got hurt in the 4th round. He got stunned in the 2nd round. And it's funny because Angelo was like 50 times better than he is, and now than he was in that fight. And I'm just hoping Stephen Fulton win his world title, like beat Carlos Castro. I'll be cheering for him to beat Carlos Castro. I'll be cheering for him to get a belt. I'm telling you guys this: the day he touch a belt, I'm turning the heat all the way up here on True School Sports to get that fight. You know, but he has to win a belt because he ain't ranked in the IBF. Doheny and Neri punched harder than Leo and couldn't hurt him. Neri dropped him, but it did no damage. I'm not hating. I'm just telling the truth. Well, I'm telling you you're wrong. I'm telling you you're wrong. Doheny. Actually, you know what? I'll agree with you on Doheny. I think Doheny actually is a bigger puncher than Angelo. But the thing is, Doheny doesn't have the craft to actually be in the right range to throw the punches he could land to knock out Inoue. So what good is having punching power if you don't have the ring craft to actually get in the position to land it? You see what I'm saying? Neri definitely does not have more punching power than Angelo at 126. Fuck no. He landed a flash, like first of all, he landed a flash knock on Inoue. Inoue got clipped, but Inoue wasn't like on Queer Street. He had his senses about him. Look, man, just keep talking. You'll see. At some point, it'll register. It'll register, you know. BT, if Danny Garcia wins the middleweight title, are you going to hate him like Andre Ward in 2017? 1,000%. Yes, I am. I can't stand Danny Garcia. And I hate the fact that if he wins this fight for a bullshit title at a catchweight, that people are going to start talking about him going to the Hall of Fame. I don't like that. Yeah. All right. What is it? Osman, I'm not talking to you no more because you don't have listening comprehension skills. You're talking about the whole career. I'm not talking about the whole career. I'm talking about featherweight. Inoue is gonna have to fight Angelo at featherweight. Numbers don't lie. You're gonna get your homie hurt. Nah, I don't want to talk trash. I don't want to talk trash because that's not what we do here at Team Leo. But I know. All I'll say is this. I know what we have. I know what he's capable of. I try to tell people before the Bernardo Lopez fight. They didn't want to listen, so Bernardo got put in the highlight reel and went to the hospital. And you know that all that happened and nobody's taking it serious. And it's funny because they say, oh, well, Venado had bad defense, and it was gonna happen to him anyway. Okay, so then why didn't Joel Gonzalez do it? If it was really that easy, why didn't Joel Gonzalez do it? If it was that easy, why didn't Rhea Abbey do it? He's Japanese. Don't you guys say all Japanese fighters are great? Why didn't Rhea Abbey do it? Why didn't Conlon? Why didn't all these fighters, who by the way, all these guys like Joed and Warrington, all these guys were getting praised to no end, more than Angelo. If they were so good, if it was that easy, why couldn't they do it? I'll tell you why they couldn't do it. Because to knock out Venado Lopez, it requires something that those guys were lacking. And you know what it requires? I hate to say it, it requires mental fortitude. It requires some balls. You got to actually be able to be in the pocket, have the composure, block shots, counter, and land the shots. Those guys didn't have enough of that to be effective to do that. And truth be told, I like Rafael Espinosa more than Venado Lopez. And that fight could have went either way if they would have fought. But I'm not sure Espinosa would have beat Venado either. You know, that they both have their flaws. So that fight would have been about who would have landed first. Y'all will see later. Lopez beat Euro bums. I agree with, I'm not gonna call them bums, but he beat guys from Europe that were not, you know, top guys or whatever like that. But people were calling him the best featherweight, and people were saying Angelo is gonna get murdered. And now that Angelo knocked him out, now he's not good anymore. I just want people to actually like think for a second. He says, why wouldn't you consider someone's whole career? I never said I wasn't considering his whole career. You're talking about punching power. I'm talking about punching power too. I'm talking about punching power in the context of if Angelo Leo gets a fight against Naoya Inoue. If they fight, it's going to be at featherweight. Angelo Leo was not a big puncher at 122 because he was weight drained in a lot of those fights, and you know he had to develop. There were certain skills that he has now that he didn't have back then. Okay, but anybody who's watched him as a featherweight, from Nicholas Polanco to Mike Planilla to Eduardo Baez to Venado Lopez, they know he can punch, and that's why I'm going to leave that, because I'm not going to deal with too much more stupidity. But look, guys, on that note, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap this up because what is it? It's almost 11:30 here. It's 11:15, so I'm gonna wrap it up. But look, shout out to Inoue. He's a great fighter. I look forward to seeing what he does against Sam Goodman. Sam Goodman's a good fighter. You know, Sam Goodman, I'm sure, will come with his best, and he's a very well-rounded fighter. Hold on, I gotta read this comment. JK13 says, just give Angelo Leo versus Zhao Schming over in China to see who's the best Chinese fighter. They sparred. I know that Angelo sparred him at Wild Card a long time ago. Leo isn't a perfect fighter. Dude be getting piece of every fight. If Inoue uses puncher's glove, it's over Leo. Listen, Naoya Inoue can come to the ring with he can come to the ring with fucking MMA, UFC gloves. He's not beating Angelo Leo come that night. I'm gonna tell you straight like that. He can come to the ring with Joe Louis 1920s gloves. He's not beating Angelo Leo. And I'm not saying Angelo's a perfect fighter. I'm not saying that. I never said he was a perfect fighter. He gets hit. You know, he's got things he got to work on, and we're working on them. But I'm not going to sit here and listen to people who tell me that he's not a big, he can't punch it, that he has no punching power, that he's pillow fisted at featherweight, and you want to say because the other guy was weak and the other guy wasn't good. No, okay, get out of here. You're fighting at the world class level. So if you're not going to anybody out, Paul Butler was I'll tell you this, Venado Lopez is way better than Paul Butler. Paul Butler is a straight can, a guy who never even won a world title, but won a world title because of circumstance. He won the world title because John Rio Casimiro broke a rule in the UK for using a sauna, some stupid rule they have over there. Then he couldn't fight him. Then he fought Joanna Sultan. Then he outboxed him because Joanna Sultan really isn't all that. And then Inoue got to fight Paul Butler. But y'all don't say Paul Butler wasn't good. You say, no, Inoue's generational talent. So how, what are we doing here? Leo is a one-dimensional fighter. Do you really think that? Is that what you really think? You need to go study some tape. You need to learn more boxing if that's what you think. I think Venado underestimated Leo bad. Inoue's ring pressure is hard to deal with and doesn't overlook opponents. It will be a good fight. I think so too. And listen, of course, Bernardo Lopez, honestly, even if he didn't underestimate him, I don't care if he underestimated him or not. He lost to the better fighter, and I told you guys that for months, and you don't want to listen. Inoue is a lot more disciplined than Bernardo. We know that. I think I think it'll be a great fight. His pressure is very hard to deal with. He has great hand speed. He's extremely athletic. He's a great fighter. You know, he's a future Hall of Famer. I would love the opportunity for Angelo to fight him, and I'm looking forward to when the day the contract gets signed, breaking this guy down and film studying. I'm already film studying him, so that's what I'm saying. They're like, I'm in film study mode. Right? I'm already taking it as if like Angelo's fighting Inoue next. I'm already film studying Inoue, and Inoue is one of my favorite fighters anyway. So like I know his fight game inside and out. But now I'm really just like, I'm watching fights in slow motion. I'm about to go watch every fight in his career. I'm taking notes. Like, this is gonna be like the Bernardo Lopez film study, like times 100. You know, because I want to beat him. That's actually, honestly, that's one of my 3 goals in life is to help Angelo beat Inoue. 3 goals in life right now are get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and really just help Angelo beat Inoue. That's it. Leo is a speed demon and will box Ron Inoue. I agree. It's about time you start talking sense. Thank you, champ. Anyway, look, guys, I'm gonna end it because I'm not sold on Leo yet. Maybe he should fight Brandon Figueroa. Brandon Figueroa needs to go figure out what he's doing with his career. He's over there. He's over here. You know, I don't know what he's doing. Playing around. I don't know what he's doing. He's gone into witness protection. Not fighting. He's not fighting at all. Who's he fighting next? You know. I thought you were going to Japan in 2024, BT. I was supposed to, but I didn't think I'd move to Las Vegas as early as I did, so I'm gonna have to put it on the back burner for now. But I'll be going there in 2025, God willing, you know. But look, guys, on that note, I'm gonna wrap the live up. See, when's the next live? When is the next live? I'm not sure when the next live is gonna be, but it won't be too long. So whenever I do go live again, I'll see you guys then. And look, keep watching the channel. Keep subscribing. I'm about to hit 8,000 subscribers soon, so I'm really grateful for that. And definitely keep watching all my content. And I do enjoy these back and forths about Inoue and Angelo. I'm sure I'm gonna have a million of them before they fight. So yeah, they're fun. But yeah, take care. God bless. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.